I met Lorena Cortez as she prepared to direct her debut short film, Copacabana, right down the street in my hometown of San Jose. Copacabana follows the story from the song of the same name, and is a rousing period piece packed with romance, action, heartbreak, and resilience, brought to life with fabulous costume design, an impeccable setting, and the love and support of a community. Lorena graciously invited me to attend the premiere of her film, a classy, unexpectedly grand, and highly attended showcase that took place in the actual ballroom in which the project was filmed. And I had a chance to watch the short, surrounded by a throng of Lorena's family, friends, cast and crew, and of course, fans of her work, all of whom brought an incredible energy to the evening. I invited her over for a chat, and she told me about her inspirations for the film, her work within the local Latino community, and her plans to launch a scholarship fund to support fellow rising filmmakers. And with that, please enjoy the show. Welcome back to The Local Creative and another podcast episode here with your host, Christopher Denise. And today with me is Lorena Cortez, writer and director, and I guess producer as well, of the upcoming short film Copacabana. Although upcoming might be inappropriate because you might be listening to this after it's been released. But if that's the case, then go out and see it. It's probably on Vimeo or something like that. Where is it going? Actually, I'll just start right there. Where is it going after this?
Well, first I'm going to do a festival run, and then I'll decide where I want to actually post it, but probably Vimeo.
Okay,
eventually.
cool. So you heard it here, Vimeo. Let's walk it all the way back to first and foremost, always, as always, please introduce yourself to us. Who are you and what do you do, Lorena?
So I'm Lorena Cortez. I am a San Jose born and raised filmmaker. My titles that I go by now are producer, director, and editor. I don't do much writing, although I did co-write Copacabana with one of my lead actors. I've been working in the film industry now for about 6 years. I did some corporate film work at eBay last year, and then that contract ended, so now I've been full-time freelancing.
Oh, cool. I'm gonna back up just a second here. A silly off one is I realized you pronounced your name with a heavy accent, and then you said San Jose.
Yeah, I guess San Jose. Nobody really says that though.
It's funny. I've been playing around with it a little bit lately, just because I obviously it's technically San Jose,
Yeah.
not like San Jose.
Yeah.
There's this run-on little English word there, but I feel like it's kind of like Nevada versus Nevada. Whatever. Yeah, but
Interchangeable, right?
it's interchangeable. It works. Cool. So born and raised in San Jose. Did you always know you wanted to be a filmmaker?
No, actually, I fell into it kind of randomly. I've always been creative, and if you know anything about my family, all of us are creative except my dad.
Okay.
So I was really lucky that from a very young age, my parents encouraged us to pursue anything that we were interested in,
Oh, cool.
and we all just turned out to be artists.
All right.
And so I went to college for fashion design, and I
Yeah.
thought I was going to work in the fashion industry. I did for a little bit, but really did not like the atmosphere. It's very catty.
I've heard that several times.
Yeah, it's not a nice place to work. But it was during my time in college that I wanted to find a creative way to showcase my designs.
Yeah.
So I got together with a friend. He was the camera person. I had a model my clothes, and then I directed a little commercial. And then that's when the bug started to
Okay.
pursue that a little more and teach myself.
Did you switch majors at that point, or?
No, I still continued with the fashion. I finished that and got that degree. But just on the side, I've always been like taking courses or learning through YouTube University.
Yeah.
And just trial and error. And so then last year is when I landed that job at eBay as a video producer, and I learned a lot on the job, which was incredible and kind of set me up for success for my own passion projects.
What did you do right out of college? Did you jump right into film, or was it just odd jobs, or?
I was actually working at Levi's. That's why I'm all decked out in
Okay.
denim. Um, yeah, so I was working at Levi's as a tailor, customizing denim with like
Okay.
embroidery.
So you were using your fashion degree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did work in fashion for a little bit, but like I said, I just didn't
Yeah.
like that
Yeah. It
atmosphere.
wasn't where you wanted to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You mentioned your siblings are also all artists. What other kind of artists are in the family?
So my oldest brother Ricardo, he's the director of marketing at Santa Clara University for
Oh,
one
wow.
of the like subsections of Santa Clara.
I'm sure there are many. It's a pretty big
Yeah.
university.
It's something called the Miller Center. I don't know exactly what they do, but I know he's the director there.
Okay.
And so he recently wrote a children's book called The ABCs of Lowriding.
Oh.
He's really into the lowrider culture. He has 2 cars himself. And he realized one day that there was no books out there for kids about the culture.
Okay.
So he wanted to be the first.
It's a little mysterious, I think, to most of us. It's been nice to see San Jose reopen for lowriding and let it come back, and realizing that it's much more of an art show than it is anything else. I mean, has lowriding been a big part of your life, or your art life, or just life in general?
Yeah, I would say so. My grandpa had the 2 cars and then passed them down to my brother. So I just have a lot of memories cruising around. Now that my brother is really involved in that community, I've learned a lot more about the culture as well.
Very cool.
Um,
I noticed that you had a few really cool cars come out for your short film.
yeah, for
Was that
pickup.
no, exactly? Yeah, those are some pretty sweet looking rides out there.
Yeah, thank you.
Did you have to kind of pick between like ones that were a little too modernly, pimped out, as they will? Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely had some standards that I needed them to be, because it was a 50s period piece.
Yeah.
So I wanted it not to be too flashy. Um, and yeah, he was able to hook it up with like 6 different cars, classic cars.
Wow. So let me talk. That scene looked like it took a lot. Was that a huge part of your film? Was that particular scene?
That actually is the opening scene of
Oh,
the
nice.
film, and it was particularly hard because I forced my team to do a oneer.
Okay.
So nobody was excited about that, but I'm like, you guys, I know we can do this.
For anyone listening, a oneer, who doesn't know, a oneer is a very, very, very long take where you do not cut the camera. There's no resetting. Your cameraman has to keep rolling. The actors will have to know their places, and that goes on for could be minutes sometimes. So the longer that goes, it's kind of like chaos, right? The longer that goes on, the harder that is to coordinate until you get, I'm sure, to the point where you're like, I can't coordinate past this. But like, how long was that oneer?
I think in the final edit, it's only gonna be about 30 seconds, maybe 40.
That's still a lot.
Yeah.
I think, we just did a short film earlier this year as well. It was in May, and I'm going through the edit now, and I don't think we're on any shot more than 10 seconds, and only a couple of them are even that long.
Yeah.
And when you watch, if you start paying attention when you watch most films or even TV shows, you start realizing, wow, they cut like every 3 to 5 seconds. So that must have been a lot.
It was a lot of choreography for sure.
How long did it take you to set that scene up?
We allotted at least like 2 hours because not only was it a oneer, but we shut down the street for the classic cars. So we had to get that all set up, maybe even 3 hours. There's part of the team working on it. And then that was the scene with the most background characters as well. We had probably 20 background characters.
Wow.
It's a scene where people are waiting to get into the Copacabana nightclub.
Gotcha.
So my idea was like to wrap around and snake through the crowd and wrap around one of the classic cars and then go back up into the club.
Very cool. I like shots like that.
I wanted to make it very mafia style.
Yeah.
Like there's this one scene in Goodfellas where they're going through like the kitchen and
Yeah.
it's a oneer, and I really liked that. So I'm like, we're gonna do this, you guys.
Very cool. Let's talk about your influences in Goodfellas, obviously.
Mhm.
I'll walk that back slightly. What inspired this film?
So it's a funny story. I first heard the song Copacabana by Barry Manilow when I was like 7 years old.
Okay.
So I like to say this is 20 years in the making because since that age, I've always just been enthralled by that song, and I would keep coming back to it as I grew older. And I thought to myself, it'd be so cool if I ever had the resources and the money and the crew behind this to really make something out of it. Um, and not just like a no budget film
Right.
like I usually have to do. So then when I lost my job at eBay after that contract ended, I was like, this is kind of the perfect opportunity. I have all the time in the world. Let me just go all in on something. And then I decided to fundraise 35,000 for it
Yeah.
in 6 months, which was really hefty. But we were able to get it done.
So let's talk about that for a little bit. You are not a student. This is not a student project.
No.
You spent 6 months, is this without a job while you're, just working on the film,
Right.
which is something that I think most of us have experienced, or we know somebody who has done all right, I'm taking the plunge, I'm going to make my film, I'm, quit the job, or, as you can, I lost the job, or I don't have the job anymore, so I'm going to move forward with that passion project. In this case, you told me this is what, about 6 minutes long at the end? So you're making a short film. It's about 6 minutes long. It's going the festival circuit. Um, and hopefully this doesn't come across mean or anything like that, but that clearly isn't the kind of piece that is going to go and make a bunch of money and be pulled to Netflix and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. So raising $35,000 to do this, what was the drive behind that?
Thanks for asking that, actually. Going into this, I knew I don't want to make money off of this. I want to make art purely for the sake of making art, because I don't think a lot of people do that. But also, in order to fundraise and to get the donors to give me their money, I wanted to have a mission behind it.
Okay.
So my mission has always been to amplify female filmmakers, because I still feel like it's a very male-dominated industry.
Yeah.
I wanted to champion diversity in front of the camera and behind. So when you watch it, you'll see all of that diversity. Out of 68 cast and crew, I had 58 minorities and 44 women.
Wow.
So I'm really happy about those numbers.
Those are some pretty high numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the final, I guess, step in this mission is I'm now partnering with San Jose State University to launch a scholarship.
Oh.
Applications just opened on October 1st, and I'm partnering with some professors in the film and TV department to give one student $1,000 towards their tuition.
Very cool. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk less about, or no, no, less, sorry. We'll talk about your other film related work. You are part of, or one of the founders of San Jose Film Collective.
I'm on the board. I'm not the founder, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My apologies there. So you're on the board of San Jose Film Collective.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that project or that
Yeah.
experience.
So I've been on the board now for about a year, and our goal is to create a space for local filmmakers to create and connect together. So we do a variety of showcases, workshops, and networking events for folks, and we're actually having a next showcase in a week from now.
Yep.
So
Got it on my calendar.
yeah, so we'll be screening 11 films from local filmmakers. And then we have some jurors who are industry professionals coming from Pixar, Puppy Jasper International Film Festival. And they'll be scoring the films to name one Best Picture.
Very cool. Awesome. How'd you get involved with that?
So the founders of the film collective, I was really close friends with Javi, or still am very close friends with Javi. And then Jezreel Gandara as well. We all just kind of connected through networking, and I begged them to add me to the board. I'm like, please, let me be part of this.
Man, so you are like all in film. This is who you are. This is where you're going with it. So let's talk about what comes next. You've taken some time off of the daily grind. You have made your passion project art house short film, aiming at your premiere, but you got to do something in the meantime. I know I'm going through editing and sound on ours right now, and it's not taking up 100% of my day. Obviously, I've got to let my artists do their jobs, and there's a lot of they'll work on it, come back to me. So, and then once that's done, your film's out and it's premiered and it's done. So what's next on your docket?
Right after I wrapped, actually Jezreel, he was on the crew. He really liked how I produced it, and he said that he's thinking about his first feature film. So he asked me to produce that.
Okay.
And
Congratulations. Very
thank
cool.
you. So my first feature,
Do you have to raise the money for it as well?
I think that's why.
Okay.
Asked me to be on his team.
Oh, so that's what he meant by you did a good job producing. Because for some who don't know, producing has a lot of different, as you know, though,
Yeah.
producing has a lot of different hats. And one of the major ones, of course, can be fundraising, but not always. Sometimes producing is just making sure the film happens.
Yeah.
But I do, interesting. So he's coming to you to help fundraise and
Fundraise and also
do all
I like
the
to say that I'm a very organized person. I had that I had just a really good schedule built out for all
very
of this.
cool. So there's a little AD in you as well.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. And so now we're all in on pre-production for that feature film, so that's been taking up a lot of my
Have
time.
you guys raised the funds already?
No, so we
Okay.
just started.
So
Yeah.
let me ask you this, because I'm sure many people listening are interested in how you raise funds for film. The last short I did, unfortunately, I have no advice for anybody because that is fully self-funded by the gentleman who wrote the film.
Nice.
And so I could say, meet people and impress them and get them, gain their trust so they trust you with their money,
Yeah.
which that's about the only advice I can give, which I guess is probably important, but there's a lot more to fundraising than that. Let's talk a little bit about how you guys fundraise for your latest film and then maybe what you're planning to do for the next one.
Yeah, I used a lot of interesting tactics. So, I think a lot of people's go-to is to apply to grants that are film related.
Okay.
But I tried to look outside of the box and applied to artist awards and just like random contests.
Okay.
So the first 10,000 that I was able to raise was through an award for the city of San Jose for a graphic design that I did. And then the second was a contest on TikTok. I won $10,000.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What kind of contest was that?
It was by Carnation Milk. You know that brand? Yeah.
do.
So they asked people to submit videos on TikTok using Carnation Milk in like a family recipe.
Yeah.
And my mom and I submitted. We have this like family recipe passed down. It's like a pudding, a
Okay.
Mexican pudding. We submitted, didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
And then months later, they messaged me and were like, "You won
That
$10,000."
is hilarious, amazing, but also totally random.
Yeah.
So since you can't guarantee you're going to win anything in particular, how did you go about finding those contests? You were just Google searching for stuff, or was it,
Now I do. Now I Google search a lot for random contests, but there's a resource called Call for Entry,
okay.
which I'm always searching on. It's kind of like a LinkedIn for awards, grants, contests.
Gotcha. Take some notes, folks.
Yeah, giving you all my knowledge right now.
That's for me, that's a big part of this is I get frustrated, and I'll take a quick side note here is I think of this industry as very collaborative. It's one of the singular art forms that is absolutely almost required by nature to be collaborative. And I get really frustrated when people get very like tight with their information and knowledge.
Gatekeeping.
Yeah, gatekeeping. I'm here to pass that knowledge on. All of my mistakes, I have made so many mistakes. You can all learn from them. It is not my information to keep. So I'm not about gatekeeping. Let's give it all to you guys. It's a trick to the trade because you're going to go out there, they're going to look for contests and they're not going to find the same ones. And if they do, they're not going to, put the same pudding recipe in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And there's enough resources and money to go around.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money out there if you look.
Speaking of that, do you think that, did you end up being able to use or utilize the fact that you're female, the fact that you're Latina, and is that okay? Were you able to use that to your advantage in any way?
Yeah, so when I was networking with private donors, I would kind of adjust my pitch based on who I'm speaking to.
Gotcha. Okay.
So a very successful woman who donated a big chunk, I really pushed the female empowerment. And then someone else, I might push the diversity aspect.
Gotcha.
So it really just depends on who.
So one of the things that sounds like you're saying is different pitches for different folks,
Right.
which is something we've learned too, is you can't just have one blanket pitch.
Right.
Everyone that you're going to talk to has a different interest in why they might invest in your project, right? When it's Hollywood, it's very straightforward. It's like, I want money.
Yeah.
Is this going to make me money?
Yeah.
But when it comes especially to an art house film, or especially a film in this case, you've got huge diversity in there. You really wanted to showcase a lot of that. And I think in my head, a lot of what I'm hearing is not just the diversity in general, but the fact that the South Bay and the Bay Area has diversity, and we can put that in your film. That's going to orient, your pitch a little bit differently. So speaking of which, were you able to, cast first before you were getting the funding for it? So you're able to say, look how diverse our cast
Yeah.
is. Okay.
I did. So everyone on my cast and crew, minus like 3 people I had already worked with, I
Okay.
had already established a relationship with. That's a good thing about being part of the film collective is that I'm able to network and build my community. So there was a lot of trust there already, and I built my deck based on that. Like, look at how diverse this is already.
Let me ask you that. How much work before you started getting even a dime from anybody, how much work did you put into that deck? Did you put into the film itself, into pre-production?
Mhm.
It sounds like you did a lot of casting. You probably put your crew together. Like,
Yeah,
what was that like? And then not knowing if you'd even get enough to pay back for that, right?
I know. Yeah, I did a lot of work with the deck specifically. I also have a lot of knowledge on graphic design, so I was able to package it and brand it very nicely, which I got a lot of compliments about, like, "This looks really professional." Um, I started back in October, and we didn't film until July, so all that time was pre-production and planning.
Wow, was that like 9 months?
Yeah.
Okay. And that sounds daunting.
Yeah.
At any point in that process, did you feel overwhelmed? Did you feel like maybe I'm not gonna do this film?
Yes. There were days where I was crying, where I thought it wasn't gonna happen, where I was nervous about not getting enough funding, or just a lot of challenges that I can't even really speak on that came to me that I was not expecting. And it was really testing my morals, my values, and just like how I was gonna just testing my tenacity, I guess,
Okay.
and figuring it out.
I mean, were there compromises you had to make? You had a plan originally, and I'll preface it this way. I know for sure you had to make compromises along the way.
Mhm.
Um, could you tell me about some of those? What
Um,
changed from beginning to end? From very first pre-pro to on set, what changed?
hmm. What comes top of mind is, like, when we were on set, I had to make compromises on the shots that we were getting
Okay.
because the gaffing was taking a lot longer to set up than we were all expecting.
I feel your pain.
Yeah. Especially because it's a period piece and it was a very, like, artistic
Yeah.
angle we were taking. Um, yeah, but I knew going into that I was going to need to compromise, and I wanted to be flexible with the team and not be just mean to everybody about it, you know?
Did you know it was gonna be 9 months when you first started out before you actually got on set? Did you think it was gonna take shorter, longer?
I gave myself that amount of time on purpose
Okay.
because I had booked the venue very early on.
Okay, got it.
So I knew that if I didn't have a hard deadline, I would procrastinate and probably keep pushing.
I'm a little bit that way too.
So I was like, it's gotta be then or never.
Awesome. Well, a monumental effort. Now you're in post-production. You are planning your premiere for February. You've been in post-production since June, basically.
Yeah.
July, we'll call it
Right.
July. Um, where are you at in that process?
So I just edited the trailer. The edit for the actual film, yeah, is there. I want to make a few more tweaks and then I'll send it over to my colorist to finish the grading. And then she'll also do some special effects that I want to add. Um,
Are you doing sound last?
so what's interesting is I want to say it's a mix of a narrative and a music video.
Okay.
So it's actually music the whole time.
Oh, I think you mentioned that. Yeah. So
Yeah,
to the song Copacabana.
it is.
So that was something I forgot about. I want to touch on. You had to get rights to a song.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell me a little bit about that
The
process?
pain. I started that process back in April and
Okay.
still have.
So you didn't know for sure that you were going to get the rights to that song before you got like halfway through pre-production.
Yeah. I
Wow.
still don't know. It's still in
Oh,
process.
it's still in process. Okay.
Yeah.
Was that like a Google reaching out to agents or something like that?
So I did some Googling to figure out who owned the song and then found it was Universal Music Group.
Okay.
And then on their website, they had a form to submit. So I was able to submit that super easy. They got in contact with me right away, but then kept dropping off in communication for months.
Gotcha.
So I would have to keep hounding them and following up and bumping it up. And then months went by, didn't hear anything. So I took it upon myself to get IMDb Pro
Gotcha.
because you
Okay.
can find everybody's email on there.
Yep.
So I found Barry Manilow's manager slash husband.
Okay.
and emailed him, and then he responded immediately.
Nice.
So that kind of got the process moving along. So
Very,
Barry has seen it. Universal and Sony have all seen it.
very.
I'm waiting on one more approval, I guess.
Okay, so they've all approved then? Or
They
you're
haven't.
waiting to hear if they have? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would know by now if it's not going to happen.
And then, since that sounds like a major, major hurdle, what happens if you get no?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to accept no.
Okay, okay, I like that attitude.
That is the plan. Like, I really do only have a plan A, but I guess if I have to, I will find a different song to put it to,
Okay.
or have someone score it maybe. But I'm working really closely with someone at Universal. She's taken me under her wing, and she's like, I'm not worried about it. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
So
Okay. Good. That's good to hear.
yeah.
But those are the scary parts of making
Yeah.
a short film on a very slim budget.
Yeah.
And I know 35,000 sounds like a lot to some people. I had somebody scoff. We spent about 40. At this point, we're at 48,000 on the short film we did. It was a 2-day shoot, and they were like, "What? You don't need $48,000 to do
People
that."
get it.
And then, yes, you do.
You spend it like that.
Oh, it goes so fast on things that you weren't even expecting
Yeah.
sometimes. And there's all these parts that go in that you're like, oh, I guess I do have to pay someone for that. That
Mhm.
they're not just going to do that for free. People need money. I
Yeah.
mean, as much as we're artists, we're not here to, the starving artist is a trope.
Yeah.
We're not trying to be that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow. Okay, so you're coming up fast. It's almost done. We talked a little bit about funding for your next film. Where are you at with that? What's I guess you guys are just getting started. Is this a similar process? You're giving yourselves 9 months, or you're giving yourself longer?
A lot longer.
Okay.
For a feature, yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely a bigger goal than 35 that we're trying to fundraise, but
Longer project.
longer
Are you-
project.
I
Yeah.
mean, just the admin and the production behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, I keep overrunning myself. Well, how much are you guys looking to raise for this one?
200.
200. Okay.
Yeah.
So, is this I'll take a couple guesses here then. So based on the last feature that we funded, you are running into too many locations.
Mhm.
You're running into trying to figure out how to pay for the peppering of like B-listers and things like that. Let's see. Well, those are probably good enough. There's more stuff I could throw at you, but yeah, let's have you talk a little bit about like hurdles you've already run into.
I guess just the back and forth between myself and the director figuring out first the budget.
That's the third one. And a director who wants everything that you can't provide.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not gonna promise that.
Yeah.
To certain things. So yeah, figuring out the budget, I guess, took a while, and then the timeline that's realistic to fundraise that budget.
Okay.
But I learned a lot from fundraising my own and was pretty successful in those 6 months. So I'm taking a lot of those same tactics. And then really am going to lean on those contests and awards.
Okay.
Um,
With this one, are you guys looking to do the similar thing, festival circuit, and then it kind of goes where it goes, or are you looking to sell this one or try to get it?
yeah, we are going to distribute it.
What are your plans, since it doesn't sound like the short film Copacabana is really looking at, distribution in the same way? What are your plans for distribution at this? I know it's early on in the stage, but do you have any plans for distribution? Where we
Yeah, so the director definitely has goals that we're going to try to meet.
Okay.
But he is flexible. And we have some relationships and connections to places like Hulu and just things in the works.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's a little far down the line. Mostly it's let's get it made.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. So grants and awards will take you so far. Sounds like you're probably gonna have to look at some private investment as well.
We're trying to avoid investors, though, to be honest.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, there we
Because I
go.
don't want them to have a creative say in it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's something I've run into before. It can be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah. I want to avoid that at all
yeah.
costs if we can.
So I guess that's everything. That's a lot. It doesn't sound like you're going to go back to the grind at this point. Is this feature going to be like your next job basically?
No, so I still am in the market to find a 9 to 5. I've
Okay.
been applying. It's funny, I was just having a conversation earlier this morning about how people kind of look down on filmmakers who want a 9 to 5 slash also do filmmaking. But I want the stability. No, I want the stability and to know that I'm gonna have a paycheck every week, and then I've seen my brother, who I look up to as a mentor. He works a 9 to 5 and is making this children's book. He's selling out all the time. He's at his little writer shows. He's doing workshops for kids. Like, he can do it all.
Yeah.
And he has a family. So I'm like, if he can, and I'm just a single girl with no kids, like, I'm pretty sure I can do it too.
Fair enough. Great advice. Great confidence. Glad to see that. Well, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I laugh all the time because people ask me nowadays, like, are you trying to be a director? Is that ultimately your goal? And it's not, actually. I don't like being boxed into one thing. So I like still the fashion design. I incorporate that into my costumes. I like the filmmaking. But I have plans also to mentor women in financial literacy, or like design a shoe one day or design a sewing machine one day. And it's all kind of unrelated, but also related.
No, I can feel like there's a common theme going on.
Yeah. So in 10 years, I don't know where I'll be, but I know that I'm going to be enjoying my time.
Fantastic. If you had any words of advice, words of encouragement for our audience out there, what would you like to tell them?
To follow that little voice inside of you, your intuition, and really nurture it, because I think often we are pushed to do a certain thing or be a certain way. But when you start listening to your intuition, you'll be surprised how many doors open up for you and how many opportunities come your way by following what you're meant to do. Um, it's been challenging pursuing my film, but it also has been really easy in a lot of ways, because I've been following my intuition and have people are just now introducing me to others, or like giving me connections or opportunities that I never thought I would have the opportunity to pursue. So I think the more that you trust yourself, you'll be surprised, pleasantly surprised.
Sage words. Lorena, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been an absolutely pleasurable conversation. I'm really excited to get this out there, although it will probably take me several weeks before it's out. I'll do my best to make sure it's up before your film premiere.
Cool.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining me, and I really look forward to seeing your short film and seeing what comes next.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
This has been another episode of the Shortcut Podcast. If you're listening early enough, you can find Lorena's film, Copacabana, playing on the festival circuit. And if it's been a while since you tuned in, you may instead be looking for the film on Vimeo, or perhaps her next project, hopefully coming to a theater near you or on a streaming platform you subscribe to. I'd like to thank Lorena and her team for providing us with the opportunity to bring you this episode, and I'd like to thank you, the audience, for tuning in. My name is Christopher Lee Denise. You can find me on Instagram and other social media as @LocalCinematic, on YouTube as The Local Cinematic, and in real life wherever great films are being screened. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.